think it's cool as well to have something that defines your style like that. I think it works against like B and C tier players, but the cream of the crop, like your Probe, Seether, maybe even someone like Ender, who also himself can be a little bit strange in his play style. Pez I might put in that bucket as well. I don't think it works as well because mechanically they're so strong that even if they mess up a little bit, being like, what the hell is this guy doing? They're usually able to overcome whatever strategy that he's thrown out at them.
Yeah, yeah. I will also say that, you know, you say that, but he did also take out Mario, so
Yeah, true. So moot point, right? Can't get better than that. Alrighty. It's TVZ time. I'm hyped. I hope you're hyped. Because we're on Everdream, and this is the Blue Terran in the top right, fresh off a defeat of Probe, one of the scariest and most accomplished players in the region. This over here is Azure.
And spawning in at the bottom left-hand corner of Everdream LE, we have the Vietnamese Zerg player. Representing himself as, again, he is teamless. It is MeomaikA.
That's it. He is opting for the old pull first, which I found out recently, like no one else does. I do this every game, but I'm a scrub on ladder that gets cannon rushed all the time, so you won't catch me going hatch first. Hell no. But apparently not many people go for the old pull first in them pro game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you do see like earlier pools, like a 12 pool or a 14 pool, but like just a straight up pool first. Yeah, you don't see it too often. We'll see what MeomaikA can get done, as again, like you typically go for this to try and sneak around past the Reaper, try and deny or delay the natural expansion of the Terran player. But like the reason why this doesn't really happen is because so often Terran players SCV scout, they see that you went pool first and they just keep their Reaper at home. You know, it's like as we're seeing.
Yeah. Azure is in the know. He's not going to get bopped by no fallings. So,
yeah. So MeomaikA, he goes to the pool first, trying to be sneaky, but it immediately gets scattered, so Azure should be fine keeping his Reaper at home. This does mean, though, that your opponent, the Terran player, he doesn't have the Reaper out on the map, so if MeomaikA did something a little bit crazy and throws down like an Evo Chamber or a Roach Horn, it won't get scattered by that Reaper.
No, he'd have to come in a little bit later. But yeah, that's something you got to keep in mind too, because it's MeomaikA, anything's possible. So you do want to get in there with maybe the Hellions or something later on. Scan if you're desperate. Often you can tell what he's doing just by poking at the front, you know, looking at that drone count, being like, okay, has he saturated? Has he not? Does he have more gas than I expected? Seeing a third base is a good indicator that you're not going to get smashed by roaches right away. Oh, look at that positioning. Oh my god. There we go, there's a scan.
Yeah. This makes so much sense, and I love this, right? Like, MeomaikA, he's not really doing anything crazy right now, but because he denied so much scouting from Azure, like, you have to scan, right? Like, this guy, he's got to be doing something crazy. No, he's just playing straight up. He's just denying your scouting.
Yeah. No, no one bothers, that's why. No one tries that hard to deny scouting unless they're being cheeky, but that's the mind game that is Meo. That's what makes him so fun. And he's just headed into double Evo, so perhaps he's playing that sort of really heavy ground-based style, sit on lair for a long time, go for those upgrades. That said, I could be completely wrong. I don't actually know what his ZvT is looking like at the moment, so perhaps I'm about to be educated.
Yeah, like if we were cussing Demi right now, like we wouldn't be seeing this, we'd be seeing like all the gases being taken, you know, going fast into Spire. But as you said, like he is focusing on his upgrades, focusing on his ground-based army. So yeah, that should be what we're seeing for the time being, especially heading into the mid game. But Azure, we do see, is going for that fusion core, will be going for those VCs. And
Nice.
this is I don't know about you. This is annoying to deal with as a Zerg player.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I rate it a 6. If I have no spores, it's about a 9, which often happens. Yeah, it'll look. Mio's already preparing decently well. He's getting at least 1 spore in each base, and he's queuing up more queens. That's really all you need against the old BC opener. You just got to keep an eye on where those are warping in, and hopefully not take too much damage. Now, the Hellions are an added complication to that, because when you're relying on that queen defense, then you're also not necessarily in position to stop the Hellions from doing something like this.
Yeah, and they just went right into the main base, using a bit of that SimCity against MeomaikA, and he should be able to clean up the majority of these lanes, even getting a couple of workers as well. God, 9 drones.
Yikes. And all those lanes go down as well, so... Yes, he lost 6 Hellions. However, he got 9 drones and maybe like a good 20 lings, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's amazing actually. It's
Also
great.
the scout. Also the scout.
Also the scat as well, able to see the layer timing. And behind this, we see this a lot. It's really easy to transition from those BCs into mech, and this is one of the things that I love about Azure, especially in TVZ. He's versatile enough to go either mech or bio. Like he does well with both.
Yeah. And this is where having lost 9 drones stings a little bit more. If the BC only gets 3 drones, you're like, ugh, annoying, but it's not the end of the world, right? But with the running total, he's now lost 12. And then, it keeps adding up, and suddenly you've lost a mineral line and a half worth of economy, and you're wondering why you don't quite have the army or the amount of money that you expected in mid-game. And it's because this sort of stuff really starts to add up.
Yes. Speaking of which, something I just noticed is MeomaikA, he hasn't really, replaced any of those drones. He's stopped droning up, and he's just making nothing but lings right now with with those 1-1 upgrades. He has a massive amount across the map. But I don't really know what he plans to do with them, because he doesn't have a Baneling nest. Like he's not going for a Baneling bust or anything like that. Yeah, we've reached that stage where I'm trying to figure out what MeomaikA is doing, and I don't quite understand.
He's being Mio. That's what he's doing. Mio
Yeah.
loves having lings out on the map. It's his favorite thing in the world. It doesn't matter if they're actually finding damage or not. In fact, they might catch these Hellions, which could be pretty good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Very nice. Because Azure's actually meching. So if you can start peeling away at that army ahead of time, that's pretty good for you. But here's the thing. Mio's pretty comfortable on like 50 or less drones, as we discussed earlier. You see him make a huge amount of lings, and you're like, oh my god, maybe he's going for an all-in, but then you see him getting 2-2 and taking a 4, so you're like, okay, maybe it's not an all-in. And this is where you gotta stop trying to analyze. It doesn't work. His brain is too big for us.
I love it. It's amazing to see, because as you said, like he's actually incorporating a couple of drones with these waves of lings as well. Like he's droning up a little bit behind this. And he was able to find a lot of damage, right? He killed quite a number of Hellions with those lings. You don't often see that. Like Hellions, they kind of counter them. So he was able to find like this window where he was able to clean up a lot of them before Blue Fame finished. He's even opting to go for a Spire as well.
Not the worst idea. Azure's gone for a fairly mobile style of mech so far. BCs, yes, they can fight mutas, but they're slow. They can only be in one place at a time, really. So if you're going for mutas, then you can just as easily as any other time hop around, start taking out SCVs, add-ons, whatever you want. Maybe catch a couple of tanks being produced. Now I am hoping that's Meta. I don't know. He could actually go for Corruptor, being like, well, he's really committing to the BCs here, so going straight into Corruptor and starting to take those out ahead of time might be the move there as well. I'm not going to pretend to know what he's going to do here.
Yeah, I love how Azure's playing this out, because a more standard meching player would either go like battle mech, so like Hellion Cyclone, or even like a Thor heavy like tank composition as well. But instead, his anti-air is going to be these BCs. He has 3 so far. He's committing to more. He has a lot of Hellions as well. So yeah, this army it's looking a little bit unorthodox, but I love how it's going to work out, especially against just this pure link from MeomaikA. And there we go. We have Corruptors on the way.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that. There's no Thors or anything out. He is getting some cyclones now, though. He did scout the spire with that scan that he threw down just a little bit ago, so he knows, all right, well, there's going to be some A units. I'm very much investing into BCs, so I need something to protect those. Hellions aren't going to cut it, of course, so there's also some mines in the mix there, 4 of those coming in, and this is becoming an army that's going to be really, really difficult to engage.
Yeah, definitely. And these BCs doing some decent damage, killing quite a number of queens, and then just teleporting away. That can be the frustrating thing about dealing with these BCs. As long as they just, you know, fly across the map, they always have the opportunity to just teleport after they've dealt the damage. And yeah, so far Azure, he's been able to keep all of them alive. But MeomaikA, he's moving out across the map, looking to try and snipe those BCs.
Oh, okay. You want to be a little bit careful with that. There's more mines there. Oh, goodness. All right, well, this is not cost efficient at all. Yes, he gets a BC, but he lost a lot of those corruptors, so not great from him there. This is one thing I kind of don't like about Mio's playstyle is, first of all, there's no creep spread, so when Azure actually attacks, that's kind of making it hard mode for no reason to get your engagement. And then second of all, especially because he had all his extra queens, second of all, he's now on 76 drones, which is great, but he could have gotten there a lot earlier if he wasn't making these huge swells of lings that he loves to have, and he might have more money to play with right now, because he's not actually very rich.
Yeah, definitely. And oh, even the banelings get caught out here as well by the Hellions. Oh god, the Widowmine shots actually don't get the banelings, but again, they will just get kited down.
Oh my god. No bane speed. Ah, it hurts.
It's you know, the curse of the Zerg player, right? It happened earlier to Demi, now again to MeomaikA. Yeah, it's definitely rough to see. And again, I don't really know if I agree with this composition, right? Ling, Bane, Corruptor, especially against this amount of Hellions. Yeah, like you can just be so inefficient with it, and you need so much larva to make it work as well.
Nice little split there. Yeah, he's not going to be able to find too much damage here. And Azure has got a thick mech army. He's got a lot of cash money in the bank. He's feeling like a baller right now. And he's going to head across the map and see if he can do some damage to his opponent. Happily walking through this pleasantly creepless map. And let's see how he goes in this engagement.
Yeah, I mean, again, the banelings, they don't have speed, so they're just going to waddle on in, and I don't know how well this is going to go. Almost all the corruptors are going to be taken out, but they get all the BCs.
They sure do. And he will be wiping out most of this army, if not all of it. He does have the right composition, funnily enough, because this is Battle Mech, it's Cyclone, it's Hellion. If you can get the Banes to connect on the Hellion/Hellbats and sort of weather the storm with the rest, you're looking pretty good. He's not quite able to snowball here yet. I think he is still trading quite well. But ultimately, this is getting cleaned up by MeomaikA.
Yeah, I love how the upgrade advantage, the 2-2, is really coming into play for the Lings. Like, they're just able to tank so much and deal so much damage there whenever they get surrounds on the Hellion Cyclones. So, yeah, it may not have been, like, the prettiest engagement, but, you know, it worked. MeomaikA, somehow, he's pulling it off.
Yeah, and this is where I would really have liked him to expand more aggressively and pump that economy a little bit earlier, because he's kind of actually made it to, what, 5, 6 space, so he's sort of in that position now, but he could have been there earlier. He's just got a lot of money to play with and to take those engagements, right? That's what you need, because a mech army never dies in one hit. You need that follow-up rally. You need that... maybe a few bites at it before it's actually gone. So having this Massling Bane composition is great. You just need to be able to fund it. We see a lot of those upgrades rolling in for Mio at the moment as well, which is really good, because it looks like Azure's actually... I don't know. I don't feel like he's winning.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, because at least for MeomaikA, I'm still waiting for that next step. We do see the Ultras Cavern on the way, which is going to be great, but again, I feel like the big thing that's missing for his army, for his specifically ground-based army, are like Infestors. Infestors will do so well, and oh my god.
All those flaming tires or whatever those are coming off those units. Cyclone's coming in with some Hellion pals over here, and No, for sure. Trying to take more trades and going for the hatchery snipes can be a great way to get into a win position. Banelings coming in, all the Hellbats go down, the Cyclones are splitting, but unfortunately that leaves them open to getting surrounded by the Lings. And once again, Meo is going to push Azure back. Ooh, that said though, more Hellions are joining the party.
Yeah, and once again, the corruptor count almost reset there, and that's hurt so much because I do feel like MeomaikA does eventually want to head into Blue Lords or incorporate those corruptors in some way since he is investing in the upgrades, and I love this Azure. He actually gets on top of all the Morphing Banelings. Oh god. I would have loved it if he killed him before that happened, but yeah.
That was spicy. Yeah, and there's more rallies coming in, and this is one of those situations where Meo has barely not cleaned it up. And now more Hellions are here, and he's sort of rallying everything in bit by bit. He actually needs to pull back, put it all together, and then try and A-move in. But he's actually just going to GG. He was a bit low on the minerals there. Infinity gas, though. I think you're right. I think you're right. He needed investors.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of in shock how he was making it work without them. Like just pure Ling Bane, even for half of the engagements, the Banelings didn't have speed. But he was, because of the upgrade advantage, because of the engagements as well, like he was making it work for quite some time. But as we saw, eventually, it did kind of peter out towards the end. And a lot of that does kind of come down to the creep spread as well. It's surprising because he had so many queens in the beginning, but yeah, no creep spread.
Yeah. I don't know. Weird one. I think that's very much Mio's play. He kind of sticks with one thing. He's like, no, this is the strategy, and we're going to make it work or we're going to die trying. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of what we saw there. Like, I thought Ultras were a cool idea, but when you've got a lot of Cyclones out and no creep spread, I don't know if I love it, because ultimately that they can get kited. But yeah, we'll see how he goes in game number 2.
Yeah. I think that's what I love about MeomaikA as well. Like, as you said, like he kind of has his plan and he just sticks to it. And the thing is that sometimes he makes it work, and that's when he really shines. Like that's amazing to see when that happens.
Alrighty, Death Aura. Goodness, I wonder if we'll see another mech game. This man in the top left is often a bio player, but it looks like he's dabbling in the arts of mech a little bit. Let's see what he has this game. This is Azure.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the Vietnamese Zerg player. He is MeomaikA.
Correct.
Going pool first again.
I like it. I like his style. I love pool first. I usually do it in ZvP, I admit. Sometimes when I'm laddering, I get a vibe, and I'm like, this guy is gonna proxy racks me. And so I just go pool first. I'm like, you know what? Trust your gut. Do it. Make that pull. And then worst case scenario, you get to do the old MeomaikA strat and just throw a few Lings across the map and hopefully deny a CC. Then you'll have a really good day. It's almost a win-win.
Yeah, I have to admit, I do the same thing in ZvP, just because of like things like cannon rushes or proxy gateways and things of that nature. It's like, you know what, I'm fine like not opening economically, just go for that pull first. It's fine. But yeah, we'll see if MeomaikA is able to get anything done here, if he denies the scouting again, if he has like a follow-up, like cheeky build as well. Anything's possible with MeomaikA.
Yeah, this pull with SCV is going to be somewhat short-lived here, as he just does a little bit of a base tour to make sure that Meo isn't doing anything too wild in these early hours. He will notice that there is enough gas for speed. And he's actually kept mining there. So that's kind of like the key information that you want. So he really needs to get back in here with that Reaper.
Yeah. So the Reaper is here. We'll see if MeomaikA is as good as he was last game in denying that scout. But oh my god, the Reaper just bypasses the Queen and it's gonna scout the Roach Warren.
There we go. All right, that's what we like to see as Terran players. We want to get in there and say, all right, are they roaches? Yes or no? Because if so, we gotta think of some defensive strategy here. So back at home, there we go. Perfect opportunity to pop down a fresh, shiny new bunker.
Yeah, and I love Azure's response. He's going for that tech lab on the factory. There are a couple of different ways to do this, but ideally you want to eventually get out of Banshee as well. Like Banshee's helps so much in Roach defense. Before that, you can get out of Tank or Cyclone, depending on, pick your poison, like what you want to go for, to deal with these Roaches as well. And honestly, for MeomaikA, I would have loved for him to do this like last game. Like he was so on point with denying the scout, but he wasn't hiding anything, right? Whereas this game, he only made 2 Lings to begin with, and yeah, the Reaper snuck in.
Oh, slid right on in there. Third base coming up from Meo and heading straight into the lair. And you'll notice Azure is still taking it pretty easy here. He's getting a tank, he's getting a Viking, he's going to be able to clean up some of that vision, which will be nice because MeomaikA's kind of like right up in his grill with a couple of overlords. And he's also standing on the edge of the bases being like, okay, 1, you're not scouting me, and 2, you're hopefully not nidusing me or something either. Because if you don't see that roach timing come, you're like, all right, what is it though? Like what?
Oh.
What's coming?
And yeah, and he just scanned the main base of MeomaikA and he missed the spire. Like, this is what I love from MeomaikA. So because the Roach Warren got scouted, he hasn't made any roaches whatsoever. He completely abandoned like that strategy. Instead, he got all his gases, he got his lair, and he's going for this 2-base-esque spire play instead. And Azure, like, he also didn't really know what he was doing. Scans and he missed the spire.
That is a problem. That it really is a problem. He's not going to have a whole lot of mobility. He's not going to have the old stim available. He's actually going to go for a push, maybe? He could with 2 tanks. He certainly could start pressuring, because if you go out there, then Meo actually has to make not mutas to deal with this, because there's Marines in the mix, so he doesn't have so much gas that he can make it an obscene amount of mutas. So if you've just got 5, it's not quite enough to put an end to this.
And unfortunately, MeomaikA, he is making mutas right now. I don't think he realizes that Azure has pushed out from his base and he's coming across the map. And Mutalist, as you were saying, is not really what you want to defend against these Marines. He really needs like Lings and incorporate that Roach Warren, get Roaches out as well, because Azure, he's pushing out across the map and he may be catching MeomaikA in a vulnerable situation right now.
Yeah, and he actually needs to keep these mutas here because he doesn't have enough on the ground. He was droning up until this moment. He might just die here. I don't think he can get enough units out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Mutalists aren't really going to help. He's forced to pull all his drones. Azure actually doesn't siege up either, just fighting with his Marines and tanks, and it looks like maybe he can... No, this is too much from Azure. All the Roaches go down, and all the Mutalists as well.
Yeah, it looks like he probably, he'll actually kill this, but 26 workers went down. The mutas are dead, and he was getting +1 for those, so he was really investing into that tech. And now you're between a rock and a hard place, because 1, you need more econ. Even as MeomaikA, 35 drones is not enough. You need a little bit more than that. And then you have no tech, really. Like, 1 muta with +1 isn't going to cut it. And Azure, on the other hand, happily on 2 bases. He's got a 3rd CC just about ready to go. Got stim coming. He's in a much better place.
Yeah, and that's always the hard thing when you go for a fast spire like that, like quickly getting your gases and getting your lair and getting that spire, is that you don't really have a ground army, especially, if you don't know that there's this big force coming across the map. As you were saying, MeomaikA was droning when that was happening. Like, he just didn't have, he barely had anything at all to defend. And in the end, he did defend, to be fair, and he's actually making more Mutalists. Maybe there's an opportunity here for him to like try and harass and keep Azure busy at home, but yeah, he just needs to buy so much time.
As long as the Terran's only on 2 bases, I don't feel like he has a whole lot of opportunity to harass, because there's missile turrets up, and of course the Marines are local to their homes, so they're going to be able to stim around. Maybe not just yet, but soon stim around and chase down those mutas. Maybe once he grabs a third, he's stretched a little bit more thinly and you can get in there. But yeah, it's a bit rough at the moment, and Mio's actually gone back into unit production mode, which, look, more drones is usually desirable, but I also kind of don't blame him because he's not one to sit back. And also, if Azure pushes out, he will need units yesterday. So maybe it's not the worst thing that he has some stuff out already.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you know, he does have a decent Mulus count now, so maybe he can find like a stray tank here and there that isn't guarded by Marines. Potentially, like he's looking now, but oh god, just runs face first into Marines.
I bet Azure just hit T, hoping that Stim was done, because that would have been a juicy opportunity. He's actually going to pick up and chase these into the main. There's a missile turret in the mineral line, and with +1, you can actually take that out. Azure will have to be pretty hot on the trigger there to try and get the repair going straight away. But yeah, there we go. Now we've got Stim, so it's a little bit more difficult to be quite so bold with those.
Yeah, but so far, I mean, MeomaikA, he's done a decent job at finding damage. Like, he killed a gas, he killed a couple of SCVs, even picking off a couple of tanks as well. Like, oh my god, like, even though Azure, he's looking so good defensively, MeomaikA is finding these angles of these opportunities even.
Yeah, and this is the way to get back to the game. If you can do little bits of damage here and there, that's fantastic. And also, this keeps tearing off your back for the most part. Now, fortunately, Azure has gotten in here with a drop, and he's finding a little bit of damage. Only 2 record kills, but this does pull all the mutas and links back. And it gives Azure confirmation that no, he hasn't like skyrocketed into Hive or anything. He's got pretty good tabs on what Meo's army looks like now, so it looks like maybe he'll push out. However, he's going to get caught on siege if he's not careful.
Oh yeah, definitely. And MeomaikA sees an opportunity. He's trying to jump on top of this army, but without Banelings, I don't know how you're going to fight so many Marines.
You know what? I take it back. Siege is overrated. Wow. Yeah, it's just too much. I mean, again, what does Meo have against Banes, man?
Right?
There's something I don't, I swear.
I was about to say again, like, this is very MeomaikA-esque, just going Ling Muta, no Banelings whatsoever, and oh, like, you know, decent control here, able to pick off some medevacs, but again, like, he just can't really fight the Marines. You can't throw split up like this, so. Oh.
To be fair, I guess with, oh my goodness, all these poor mutas. To be fair, I guess with the amount of mutas that he's going for, and this is like his win condition, Banes takes away from that, so. Yeah. I still maintain that you can justify at least a handful. Come on. Yeah. But yeah, he's really putting all his eggs in one basket here, going, no, this is the way I'm gonna win. This is the best chance I've got. But Azure, oh, with these Stim Marines, GG. Azure will continue his reign of terror over the ESL bracket.
And with that, he advances. He goes all the way to the grand finals. Actually, a really, really solid run here from Azure. Like, he 2-0'd Probe, 2-0's MeomaikA. He's already in the grand finals, waiting for his next opponent, which will either be Pez or Runamok.
Nice. Yeah, that would actually be a fun match as well. Remind me, our grand finals are best of 5?
Yes.